You've come out, and yes, you have a concession on cars. You have a flat tariff still of 10%. Are you disappointed with that? Is this just the start?
This was supposed to be his moment. The press conference, the cameras, the Prime Minister standing tall, ready to sell the illusion of a historic trade deal. He looked confident, polished, almost triumphant, but then Beth Rigby asked one question, and in seconds, the illusion shattered. What followed wasn't a press event. It was a slow-motion political collapse. One question after another. His voice hesitated. His eyes gave away the panic. The tone shifted from victory to pure damage. Controlly forced a smile. Tried to spin, but Beth wasn't backing down. So what did she ask? What was he trying to hide? And why is the man who promised bold change now defending a 10% tariff like it's some kind of trophy? Is he masking embarrassment while quietly bowing to Trump behind the curtain? Let's find out.
Back in February, when you did a press conference with Donald Trump in the White House, he said, we could end up with a real trade deal where tariffs wouldn't be necessary. We'll see. Those were Donald Trump's.
Trump, the man Starmer, quietly loathes, had more confidence in Britain's trade potential than Britain's own Prime Minister. And Beth Rigby knew it. She didn't ask a question. She delivered a punchline. His deal, dead on arrival, and she brought receipts. Trump promised zero tariffs. Starmer brought back 10% and had the nerve to call it progress. You could hear the ego deflate. It was a setup for public humiliation. And Starmer walked straight into it.
And to those voters last week in the local elections that gave you the worst ever vote share you've had in a set of elections as a Labour Party, what's your message?
Here it comes, the kill shot. This wasn't just a question from Beth Rigby. This was a public dissection, a political autopsy, broadcast live, and the body on the table. The soul of the Labour Party, cold, stiff, and unrecognizable Labour, didn't just slip, it flatlined. This wasn't a stumble. It was a collapse in real time, a national vote of no confidence, carved in bold red ink across every ballot box like an epitaph, a tombstone for Starmer's promises, a funeral for whatever new direction he pretended to represent. And Starmer, he stood there like a man watching his own house burn, not reaching for water but clapping for the flames.
Thank you.
Well, my message to them is that we absolutely get the message that they sent last.
No, Keir, you don't. Because if you truly understood the rage pulsing through those results, you wouldn't be standing there smiling like you just opened a community center. You'd be apologizing for betraying the people who, when trusted you, for selling them fairy tales about change, and delivering 10% tariffs and half measures. But instead, his calm tone is insulting. His message, a hollow reflex. This isn't leadership. It's a man in denial, draped in a suit that no longer fits, dwarfed by the weight of public disappointment. Starmer wasn't rattled, he was rehearsed. And that's the real problem. He thinks voter fury is something you manage, not something you face, not something you fix.
We will remain focused as ever on the national interest, and I have them in mind, I have the workforce here in mind when we make the decisions that we make. I don't make them for my sake, I make them on behalf of working people across this country.
This line is so hollow it practically echoes should come with a laugh track and a slow clap from a room full of confused factory workers. Starmer looks into the camera and says, I don't make decisions for myself. I make them for working people. Really, this is the same man who sat across from American trade negotiators, got steamrolled, then flew home draped in the Union Jack like some under-rehearsed theater student in a low-budget World War II drama. He didn't fight, he didn't bargain, he didn't lead, he capitulated. And now, he parades around factory floors in a high-waist vest, posing like Churchill with a clipboard, thinking the workers won't notice the costume from the courage. They're not getting policy. They're getting PR, photo ops, false promises. He says he defends their interests, but every decision from trade to tariffs to industrial leverage says otherwise. He doesn't make decisions for himself. No, he doesn't make any real decisions at all. When pressure mounts, he doesn't lead. He hides, wrapped in symbols, surrounded by handlers, hoping the costume of leadership will distract from the absence of courage.
And in relation to this deal, yes, we would like to go further in relation to tariffs, but I think it's really important that we've been able to get this deal over the line now, because in that way we've been able to protect and save and enhance jobs right here, right now. And that reduction from 27.5% down to 10% makes a huge difference to firms like JLR and the decisions they have to make about the future.
Let's not sugarcoat it. This is Starmer admitting failure and dressing it up in corporate spin, hoping no one notices that a 10% tariff on British cars isn't a stepping stone. It's not a strategic compromise. It's a concession, disguised as progress. A defeat served with a press release and a forced smile. and the example he parades. Jaguar Land Rover, a British icon already struggling to survive in a brutally competitive global market. JLR didn't need applause, it needed zero tariffs to stand a chance. Instead, it got a 10% surcharge slapped on every car exported to the USA, and Starmer dares to claim this helps secure jobs. How? By making British manufacturing more expensive, by handing a competitive edge to German and Korean automakers, by waving a tiny Union Jack next to a crumbling factory. This isn't economic strategy. This is political triage in a PR hospital, trying to revive the corpse of credibility with empty slogans and shaky hand gestures. If this is what Starmer calls a win, one can only imagine what defeat looks like. But for workers in Birmingham and beyond, they won't have to imagine it, they'll be living it.
Decisions that I want them to make about the future. Steel and aluminium obviously been in the news hugely in recent weeks. To get that down to 0% as well is...
Let's unpack the con. Yes, zero tariffs. But what about zero protections? You removed the tax, but left the back door wide open. Now cheap foreign steel can flood the UK market. And guess who pays the price? Not the lobbyists, not the ministers. British steelworkers. Port Talbot, Scunthorpe, Redcar, real places, real jobs, now on the chopping block. And Starmer, he's too busy patting himself on the back for slashing protections like a good little neoliberal.
Pharmaceuticals is one of the most important sectors in our economy, and therefore there's nothing to get down at the moment because there isn't a tariff, but if there should be, to already have got into a position of significantly preferential...
He literally admits it. There are no tariffs on pharmaceuticals, nothing to cut, nothing to negotiate, nothing to win. And yet we're supposed to applaud. We're supposed to treat this like a breakthrough, a strategic victory, a masterstroke diplomacy. Let's be honest. This isn't policy, it's performance. When you've got nothing of value to show, you grab the nearest feel-good industry, say the word preferential, and hope nobody notices the empty box. Behind the ribbon. No new investment, no regulatory shifts. Just smoke mirrors and Starmer grinning like he's just reinvented trade. It's not substance, it's soundbite bait, a headline for the 6 o'clock news. It's filler, it's fluff, it's Starmer.
So I measure this by the reactions of those that are most affected by the tariffs, which is the workforce here, it's those in pharmaceuticals, those that are working in steel and aluminium.
Which workforce exactly? Name one. This is Starmer's favorite trick, hiding behind working people to dodge real accountability. Criticize the deal, and he acts like you've insulted some nameless factory worker he never even spoke to. But let's get real. No welders cheering at 10% tariff. No steel mills popping champagne over a wave of American imports. This isn't representation, it's fabrication. He's faking consensus and doing it poorly.
But look, there's a huge ambition here. There's a lot in the deal about tech. We are two of the leading economies on tech. There's a huge amount we can do on tech as well. So we want to go further, in those areas and on
When all else fails, say tech and hope it sounds clever. But trade deals aren't built on buzzwords, they're built on terms, tariffs and jobs. This isn't Silicon Valley. It's Sunderland, South Wales, Sheffield. Starmer's waving a hologram while the factory floor gets bulldozed. TED Talk slogans won't save the man in Rotherham whose foundry's closing, or the woman in Coventry watching her job get outsourced. There's no digital opportunity when your industry just got sold out. Trade isn't about abstract futures, it's about real people in real places. And right now they're being left behind.
Keeping our red lines absolutely in place on SBS and on food standards and agricultural standards, because that matters so much to us here.
Food standards, that's the hill Keir Starmer chose to die on, after caving on auto tariffs, giving up steel leverage, and letting entire sectors twist in the wind. He wants applause because he stood firm on ... cucumbers. This is his red line. Not jobs, not sovereignty, not the tariffs that decide whether factories survive or die. No, his stand is on symbolic agricultural regulations. That's not leadership, it's theater. Performative politics dressed up as principle. He's holding up food standards like a shield, hoping no one notices he's surrendered the real fight. Because let's be honest, protecting chickens sounds great in a BBC soundbite, but ask the steelworker whose mill is shutting down. Ask the auto plant rethinking expansion in Britain. Would they rather have fair trade terms, or a promise their lettuce won't be rinsed in chlorine? Chlorine, that's Starmer's trade philosophy in a nutshell. Keep the salad clean. Let the country rot. If your idea of toughness is drawing the line at lettuce while surrendering on everything that actually builds national strength, you're not a leader. You're a coward hiding behind salad leaves, hoping no one notices the factories shutting down behind you. So tell us, if a 10% tariff is what he calls success, what does failure look like under his leadership? Let us know in the comments. If this is how he handles power, how dangerous would it be to give him more of it? Want to see more like this? Like, share and subscribe for ongoing coverage of the major shifts happening in British politics. Until next time, stay tuned.